We'll reconvene in 30 seconds. Members, the session will be deemed. Members, we will be deemed in session. Recess has been completed. If we could ask members to return to the floor. We are at privileges of the floor. Members, if we could ask you to return to the Senate floor. We are at privileges of the floor. I know we have some introductions. Senator Hollingsworth, do you have an introduction at this time? Senator Hollingsworth, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. For purposes
Senator, one moment, please. Let's make sure we get your microphone working.
That might be helpful.
Please proceed.
How's that? Thank you, Mr. President. For the purposes of introduction, Mr. President and Senators, I'd like to call your attention to the rear of the chamber where we'd like to introduce Ms. Marky Marie Battaglia. She has recently been selected as Miss Rodeo California 2010. I know you were thinking something else, but she has been honored with that achievement, and we'd like to spend a moment today to just recognize her for this achievement here on the floor of the California State Senate. She was named Miss Rodeo California at the Miss Rodeo California pageant in Paso Robles just last year. And in this capacity, she will travel throughout California representing her favorite sport of rodeo and the cowgirls and the cowboys who participate by keeping alive the Western heritage of rodeo that has been shared throughout generations. She is the daughter of Joyce and the late Mark Battaglia, and Marky is a 21-year-old senior at ASU, Arizona State University, majoring in communications with a minor in Spanish, and upon graduation would like to continue her education, getting a master's degree in communications, and possibly pursuing a career in rodeo or media. She's currently a resident of Ramona in the district of the 36th district, my district, and that of Assembly Member Joel Anderson, who also joins us here today, and our soon-to-be colleague. She began her love of rodeo and horses at the age of 15 when she moved to eastern San Diego County. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome and honor today Ms. Battaglia.
Ms. Battaglia, we want to both welcome and congratulate you. We're pleased that you were able to join us here on the floor of the California State Senate. And again, we want to wish you best in your role. Congratulations and thank you. Members, one more time, please. Senator Corbett, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. To present Senate Joint Resolution 35, which is recognizing the anniversary of our Americans with Disabilities Act, and also to introduce some very special advocates who are here with us today.
All right. Secretary, please read.
Mr. President, would it be appropriate first to introduce the special guests or have the reading and the presentation of the resolution first?
Certainly. One moment, please. Members? Members, we are back in session. Senator Corbett, why don't we take this opportunity for you to introduce your guests?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We have some very special guests here today to help us celebrate and honor the 20th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I would like to call your attention to the rear of the chambers, where we have 3 distinguished Californians in the disability rights movement. And pardon my back, Mr. President, I think I would like to see them as I do this. We have with us today Margaret Jacobson Johnson, an attorney and advocacy director of the Disability Rights California, a federally funded nonprofit organization working to advance human and legal rights of Californians with disabilities. Margaret is a Senate appointee to the California Commission on Disability Access, which all of you helped us create with Senate Bill 1608, a landmark bill supported by everyone on all sides of the aisle, including, of course, our good friend, Senator Cox. Margaret was elected by her fellow commissioners to serve as the first chair of that commission. Margaret serves on the board of directors and is the past president of the National Disability Rights Network, and she has served on the board of numerous state and local disability-related organizations, including the Berkeley Center for Independent Living, the Access Center of San Diego, the Access Dance Company, and the Disability Rights Education and Defense Fund. Margaret has been in a wheelchair for over 45 years, and she is a proud parent and grandparent. So let us welcome Margaret. Also with us, Teresa Favuzzi, the Executive Director of the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. Teresa holds a master's in social work and has worked in the disability rights movement since 1999. Teresa has brought the disability perspective to many diverse efforts. She served on the East Bay Voter Guide Advisory Committee, the Office on Disability and Health Advisory Council, Disability in the Media Advisory Board, the Sacramento Lambda Community Center Board, and the Resolve to Stop Violence Advisory Board. Teresa has lived with an autoimmune disorder since the age of 5. Let's welcome Teresa for her advocacy as well. And also with us, Laurel Mildred, the coordinator of Californians for Olmsted, a project of the Foundation for Independent Living Centers. Over the past several years, Laurel has been closely associated with the implementation of Proposition 63, the California Mental Health Services Act, and something we all know our pro tem knows just a little bit about. Laurel has served as Executive Director of the California Network of Mental Health Clients, the Associate Director of the California Mental Health Directors Association, and a consultant to the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission. Laurel holds a master's in social work, and many of us remembers Laurel's previous wonderful work as a consultant at the Senate Office of Research. Members, please join me in honoring these 3 esteemed leaders in the disability community, and help me welcome them to the Senate floor and thank them for all of their great work they have done to empower persons with disabilities. And Mr. President, I do have a resolution, Senate Joint Resolution 39.
This is file item 76. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Joint Resolution 35 by Senator Corbett, relative to the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990.
Senator, please present.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to present Senate Joint Resolution 39, commemorating the 20th anniversary of the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act, one of the most significant pieces of civil rights legislation enacted since the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The ADA stands tribute to what can be accomplished through the determination and commitment of individual citizens who share a common voice and fight together for a common goal. From the schoolroom to the workplace, from the local movie theater to the corner grocery store, from the city bus to the apartment house. Prior to the passage of the ADA, People with disabilities were routinely segregated or excluded from participation in these basic aspects of community life. Passage of the ADA provided persons with disabilities legal protections from discrimination and important validation of their equal value as Americans and community leaders. Especially today, it is important to note that the ADA was approved with overwhelming bipartisan congressional support. An important reminder in these challenging times that much can be accomplished when lawmakers set aside partisan interests for the common good. SGR 35 commemorates the 20th anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act, encourages all Californians to celebrate this historic achievement, reaffirms our commitment to goals of the ADA, and urges Congress to reaffirm its commitment to the civil and constitutional rights of persons with disabilities. Members, please take a moment to thank and personally introduce yourselves to our advocates who are with us today. And may I please ask for an aye vote of this measure.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Calderon. Cedillo. Cogdill. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. DeCheney. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Smidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Call the absent members. Call the absent members, Mr. Secretary.
Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Correa. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeCheney. Aye. Emerson. Hollingsworth. Huff. Oropesa. Steinberg. Walters. Wiggins. Strickland, I have as aye.
Call the absent members.
Emerson, aye. Calderon. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Oropesa. Steinberg. Walters. Wiggins.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator Liu, for what purpose do you rise? Senator Liu at Senator Steinberg's desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in honor of a couple of foster parents this afternoon.
Under privileges of the floor, please proceed.
Thank you. I rise in honor of two selfless women who put the needs of others before their own. Today, I'm presenting resolutions to two of California's premier foster parents. Judy Lloyd has been a foster parent for 5 years and is currently the foster parent of two teenage daughters. Despite the demands on Judy's time as a single mother, grandmother, and caregiver to her father, she makes her foster children a priority and works with other service providers to ensure those children receive everything they need. Judy is very involved in the lives of her foster daughters and attends her foster daughters' activities such as school plays, games, and school meetings. And Judy has established a loving and supportive environment. So I have a resolution to honor Judy.
Members, please join me in welcoming and congratulating our guests today on the floor. Thank you. And Senator Liu, do you have a second resolution?
I do. Marissa Thompson, along with her husband Marcus, has served as a foster parent in a group home for the past 4 years. They have created a home-like setting for foster children who need more intense, specialized care. Marissa and Marcus treat their foster children as part of their family and include these children in all activities. While serving as a foster parent, Marissa has attained her college degree, completed an internship, and held multiple jobs. Judy and Marissa are two of the many dedicated foster parents across California. They are inspirational role models and embody the strength of our communities. May is Foster Care Month, and I encourage members to learn more about foster care in their communities and reach out to foster parents and agencies. Please join us for a reception in my office immediately following this presentation to honor both Judy and Marissa and their families. Thank you.
Members, please join Senator Liu in welcoming her guests. Senator Lowenthal, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Under motions and resolutions?
Senator Lowenthal, if you could wait just one moment and we'll make our way. Thank you. Members, we are at privileges of the floor. Moving on to messages from the Assembly. Messages from the Assembly will be deemed read. That brings us to reports of committees. They will be deemed read and amendments will be adopted. Senator Lowenthal, that takes us to motions, resolutions, and notices. For what purpose do you rise, sir?
Three items. One, to remove AB 2536, Assemblyman Member Carter, file number 433 from the consent calendar at the request of the author. And also to remove AB 1060, Assemblymember De La Torre, file number A-51 from the inactive file at the request of the author, and to remove file item A-39, AB 827, Yamada, from the inactive file at the request of the author.
Without objection, so ordered. Other items under motions, resolutions, and notices. Senator Pavley, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
For pulling an item from the special consent calendar for purposes of amendment at the request of the author.
Proceed.
This would be file item number 404, AB 2229 by Assemblymember Brownlee, who requests that this item be pulled from the special consent calendar for purposes of amendment.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator Leno, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Request of the floor to remove from consent item number 396, which is AB 1675.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator Onestad, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Two items, Mr. President.
Proceed.
There's a resolution at the desk requesting permission to suspend joint rules so that measures may be heard and reported by the Natural Resources Committee after the July 2nd deadline. This request has been approved by the Rules Committee, and I urge your adoption.
Secretary, please read.
Resolved that Joint Rule 61-613 be dispensed with as requested.
All right. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll. Members, this is a procedural matter that requires a two-thirds vote. Secretary, call the roll.
Onestad?
Aye.
Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Papley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator, did you indicate you had one more item?
I do, sir.
Please proceed.
I move to suspend Joint Rule 10.5 for the following bill, AB 1265.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator Flores, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to, on behalf of Assemblymember Calderon, remove AB 2367, file item A68 from the inactive file for purposes of amendment.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator Harman, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. Please move file item 372, AB 2535, by Senator Blakesley, Assemblyman Blakesley, from the third reading to the inactive file.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator Hancock, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. To remove file item 423, AB 2766, a bill by the Assembly Judiciary Committee from special consent at the request of the author.
So ordered. Senator Yee, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Two items. At the request of the author, please remove AB 2145, Assemblymember Amiano, item 415 from the special consent and return it to third reading file. And then at the request of the author, please remove AB 2596, Assemblymember Portantino, item 352 to the inactive file.
Thank you. Without objection, so ordered. And one moment, please. And members, at the request of the author, we've been asked to remove item 414, which is AB 2444, from the special consent calendar and return the bill to third reading. This is apparently necessary for purposes of amendments. Members, let me just indicate that there are amendments at the desk, and they will be deemed adopted. These are for items 39, which is AB 759, item 41, which is AB 2554. Excuse me, this is pursuant to Senate Rule 2910. These following bills are referred to the Rules Committee. Let me say again, my correction. Pursuant to Senate Rule 2910, the following bills are referred to the Rules Committee. Items 39, 41, 53, 61, and 62. These are referred to the Rules Committee pursuant to Rule 2910, without objection. We also have a file notice waiver. Without objection, Joint Rule 62A will be suspended to allow the Natural Resources and Water Committee to hear AB 1260 and AB 1265 today, and the Education Committee to hear AB 70 and AB 184 on Wednesday, August the 11th, 2010, without the 4-day notice in the daily file. Without objection, so ordered. Senator Flores, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. Also, if we could remove AB 451, file item 393, from the special consent calendar for purpose of amendment, and also remove file item 403, AB 1980, Hayashi, from special consent for amendments as well.
Thank you. Without objection, so ordered. Senator Price, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to remove AB 668 from special consent calendar.
Without objection, so ordered. Members, do we have any other items under motions, resolutions, and notices? All right, then we are at introductions and first reading of bills. Measures will be deemed read. That takes us to consideration of the daily file. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 583, 25 with amendments, 231 with amendments, 610, 1611, 1612, 1613, 1614, 1615.
Daily file will be deemed read. Thank you. We will be moving to unfinished business. Members, these are the items following our second reading file, unfinished business, file items 48 through 60. 48 through 60 on the unfinished business file. Do we have any members who have items they wish to take up that are eligible today? File item 48 through 60. Senator DeSaulnier, for what purpose do you rise?
I have item 48 and 49.
Please proceed with file item 48. Secretary will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 93 by Senator DeSaulnier relative to Summer Learning and Wellness Month.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a simple resolution that supports our current we have a task force on summer learning, intersession learning. There's a timely article in the cover of Time magazine just this past week about the importance of supporting summer learning and intersession learning, particularly for our high-risk youth. This is back from the Assembly where we took some amendments that addressed some concerns by Republicans. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier?
Aye.
Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Calderon? Cedillo? Cedillo, aye. Hancock? Aye. Hollingsworth? Oropesa? Steinberg? Walters? Wiggins?
Ayes 32, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator DeSaulnier, did you have a second item?
File item 49.
Secretary will read.
47.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 47 by Senator DeSaulnier relative to education funding.
Mr. President, this resolution just gives support for Title V child care preschool programs. As you know, these state programs are required to have rather strong oversight requirements for providers. This merely gives them our support and promises that when the economy gets better, we will raise their reimbursement rate appropriately to what the statute requires. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Calderon? Lowenthal? Aye. Oropesa? Steinberg? Strickland? Walters? Wiggins?
Ayes 21, noes 11. The resolution is adopted. Members, we are at unfinished business. File items 48 through 60. Senator Price, for what purpose do you rise?
File item 51.
File item 51?
Correct.
File item 51. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1434 by Senator Price, an act relating to voter registration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm pleased to present SB 1434, which clarifies current law with respect to voter registration cards. This bill is back for concurrence as I took an author's amendment in the Assembly Elections Committee that permits a county elections officials to email a voter who submitted an incomplete affidavit of registration in order to obtain the information that was missing on the affidavit. Members, existing elections law contains a number of rebuttable presumptions that elections officials can make when a voter does not fill certain information on a voter registration card. For example, if no middle name or initial is shown on the voter registration card, it's presumed that none exists. However, if a voter doesn't fill in the country of birth on the state voter registration card, current law requires county election officials to contact the voter before processing the voter registration card. As a result, some counties are using limited staff time and resources to obtain information that has no bearing on whether the person is eligible to vote or not. Furthermore, the federal voter registration form does not require a person to identify or state their state or country of birth. Since it's not a requirement on the federal form and it's not used to determine a person's eligibility to register, there's really no need for it to be filled in on the state form. Again, members, I would like to reiterate that a person's place of birth is not relevant in determining whether the person is eligible to vote. SB 1434 creates a rebuttable presumption that if a person doesn't identify their place of birth, it is presumed that they are eligible to register to vote as long as they mark the box stating that they are a citizen of the United States and sign the registration form under penalty of perjury. The bill potentially is a cost savings measure for the counties and is sponsored by the Secretary of State. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Onnestet? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Cedillo, aye. Denham, no.
Call the absent members.
Calderon? Correa? No. Ducheney? Oropesa? Steinberg? Walters? Wiggins?
Call the absent members.
Calderon? Ducheney? Oropesa? Steinberg? Walters? Wiggins?
Senator Price, would you like to ask that we place the bill on call? At the request of Senator Price, we place the measure on call. The bill is on call. Senator Pavley, for what purpose do you rise?
Yes, for the purpose of announcement, the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and Water will be having a hearing off the floor right now in room 3191 to hear two bills.
Senator Pavley, the suggestion has been made that the hearing be delayed until immediately upon adjournment of session, given the need to keep members here on the floor. I understand, however, that we also have an appropriations hearing, and that after the appropriations hearing, we have a hearing of the Select Committee on Delta. So let's try and work this
and business
issue.
and professions. Yes.
Senator Kehoe, for what purpose do you rise?
Just to say yes, we will go back into appropriations immediately upon adjournment. We have less than an hour's worth of work to do, and I think Senator Negrete McLeod has a... Senator
Negrete McLeod, for purposes of announcement?
Yes, we have three bills in business and professions, and we will meet upon adjournment in 3191.
All right. One moment, please.
No.
Ours was already
One of our
scheduled.
problems is this bill has to go to the Assembly today.
One. All right, members, if we can ask you to just pause for one moment while we sort out our multiple obligations to make sure that we can move the business of the House and the individual committees as expeditiously as possible. One moment, please.
Mr. President, I know that Senator Hollingsworth has raised his mic to call a Republican caucus. We want to call a Democratic caucus now for 10 minutes, go into recess, and in 10 or 15 minutes, I'd like to call a hearing of the Senate Natural Resources and Water Committee to consider 2 bills. And then, is there any other? Excuse me. Are there any other committees that? Okay, approach and BNP will meet upon adjournment after we come back from Resources and Water. Okay.
And Mr. President,
yes, sir.
Forgive me, Mr. President. We also have the Select Committee on Delta Issues, which is scheduled to hear from, I believe it's 13 witnesses. Now immediately upon adjournment of appropriations because of the room assignments. So we're going to have to factor that in as well.
And then at midnight.
All right. Then I'm going to go to Mr. Hollingsworth in a moment, but Mr. Hollingsworth, it's my understanding that you're about to call a Republican caucus and that would be in Cox's Clubhouse or in your office, sir?
That would be in the Cox Clubhouse.
Cox Clubhouse. That the President Pro Tem is about to call a Democratic caucus. Mr. President Pro Tem, Senator Steinberg, you're about to call a Democratic caucus.
Yes, we'll call a Democratic caucus in the Maddie Lounge.
That we will recess, that while we are in recess, that the Senate Natural Resources Committee will meet for the consideration of 2 bills. We will then return to the floor, Senator Steinberg, to take up those 2 bills. And that immediately upon conclusion of those 2 bills being debated and taken action upon, we will then adjourn for the day so that the Business and Professions and Appropriations Committees might meet, and that following the Appropriations Committee, the Delta Select Committee might meet. Senator Steinberg, is that the order of business? Then without objection, members, Republican caucus in the Cox Clubhouse, Democratic caucus in the Maddie Lounge. We are in caucus.